second half of the talk is traditionally about kind of iOS provisioning profiles and stuff, because anyone who's trying to do kind of iOS development, getting it actually on the devices was a difficult thing. So how many of you are doing kind of iOS stuff or are interested? Okay, so you're generally interested in knowing. Yeah. So has anyone tried using provisioning profiles and stuff? Has anyone found it a real pain? Okay, cool. So I had the same issue. So I mean, I've got a few slides which just.
Sorry, does anyone else need a pen?
It's my pen. Okay, so going over the provisioning profiles might be quite good for you guys. I mean, because we've been through the whole minefield of provisioning stuff, and so it's just a general outline of kind of the workflows and the points I picked up and where things were going wrong, and why they were going wrong, and I found that once I understood that, it made a whole lot of sense. So I've got like a general checklist of just going through and saying these are the order that you should be doing things, and if you get to the screens, so we can go to make sure that we're going into something we're not too many people are interested in. So that's pretty cool. And also in terms of distribution as well, when it comes to creating iOS games, like one of the things that people really struggle with or don't maybe understand is how to then get it out to people for testing. So there's a few things about that. We'll jump back into them in a minute. I just wanted to double check. So in terms of the offsetting stuff, so let's look at. So it's using basically the same principle of what we were using just now. If we have these four kind of cubes, and each one of them has a texture on it. But each of those textures is an independent texture. If we were to look through at each of the cubes, you can see this one has a material here called bricks, the other one is grass, plaster, and wood, and then each one has a separate texture on it. So what we have to do there is we have to push through each one of those to the renderer, and it has to deal with each one of them individually, which isn't kind of the best way to do it, and it's not kind of that efficient. So what you can look at doing is maybe then combining those into a texture sheet, such as this. And you can have each one of these textures. So this is one way of doing it, it's combining the texture sheet. What we've still got here is an actual individual material for each one. So if it's an individual material, that's counted by the way as a separate project, a separate thing to push through basically. So even though we can do this, and then if we go through to the tiling thing here, you see we get the sets for a quarter. And this is the 0.5 and 0.5. This is on the wood one. If we go through to plaster, you can see the 0.5 and 0.25. Get the general idea. But what if we wanted to actually then just move that through to one material? So all the offsets here are the same. You can see the one brick, and then if we decided to change this to 0.5 as well, it would all be wood. So that's the issue where we were having, which we didn't really want. So what we decided to do was using this UV shift, which stole from the forums, but it was their public. Slapped that on all the things that we wanted to use. Kind of did what we want. So when it comes to actual runtime, we can click play. You can see them now in each individual object. So that really helped. It's a good way to check all these issues. If you have got areas in which you can combine all these things, you're looking to kind of do UV shifts instead of quite offset to say just a few things. And we're trying to optimize, trying to get that kind of few percent down in terms of performance. That can really help. Someone mentioned the LOD things, what I'm looking at very quickly. Just use this. I've noticed that kind of blue texture thing there, and then the texture's loading in. Has anyone used substances in Unity before? No, has anyone heard of substances? Procedural textures? Yeah. So Unity supports procedural textures and substances natively, basically. So pretty much a procedural texture is a texture which is created at runtime rather than just a standard texture which is saved. It saves in terms of kind of memory usage massively. Where a standard kind of high-res texture could be half a meg. It's just if you use a procedural texture to do that, you can get down to like a kilobyte basically. So when it comes to applying it to web pages and stuff like that, it really helps. So games like Battlestar Galactica online use it. The company who did the bootcamp demo for Unity 3.0, they used it on the project that they were making. Their initial build size for the web was 87 megabytes, and then they changed it to substances, and they got it to 8.7 megabytes. So if you're looking at web stuff, it's really
These subsequent ones in the same shipping line right now, for example, while deciding if I use texture 4, it's the same as it.
Yes, yeah. So you can basically you can get a load of free ones with Unity to test out, and then you can get a load of free ones like Maya and 3ds Max. You can basically just copy that folder over to Unity, drag them in. So yeah, that's what this was doing, just as a general kind of side note. But in terms of the LOD stuff, now I mean we can look at this object here. So this has got an LOD group on it. And an LOD group is just a collection of objects, and you can see the children here. And these are 3 separate meshes. So yeah, they change through as a selector. But inside of Unity, if we look at something like the log group, we've got log 0. And if we would, it's got the actual mesh assigned to it here. So if we were to change this slightly, you can see in the viewport that it's visualizing the distance at what this change will actually do. And this works for each individual one of the changes. It's a really simple way. So if you've got an artist who's doing stuff, if you are an artist yourself, you can see the workflow in terms of what the developer is trying to do. So that's pretty neat. And then in terms of occlusion color, I don't really have anything. Okay. So if you look in the top scene view here, that's generally normally what a scene looks like. It's got the meshes and stuff. But if we were to visualize the occlusion fake, you see all the other ones on the right and the left hand side as we're looking at it here disappear. And what it does is basically turns the mesh around horizontally, and then it just turns them on when it's needed. It pretty much uses a system of cells here, and it looks through each one of those cells at different angles and determines a set of potentially visible objects that are in there. So when you move into these cells, then it basically gets this PDS data and says, what could I possibly see from this point? And then just has those meshes. How it works, but it's pretty much a case of just selecting occlusion. Brings up the cell grid here. You can change the cell size, so depending on the size of your meshes, you don't want them overlapping too much. You can change those just by changing this, and then you click back. So if you're familiar with kind of like mapping or how Unity does that sort of thing, it's the same work, but Unity just likes to do these things in the same way than it does anything. Also in the editor, is there anything else people would like to see? We can come back to it. So yeah, provisioning profiles. I've lost hours in my life to provisioning profiles. And it's horrible. It's basically a provisioning profile is something which is used by Xcode to determine whether an app that you're making or someone else has made is allowed to be run on the device that you're trying to push it to. In a general sense. There's kind of Apple's kind of security measures. So if you're trying to send it out to people, it's kind of maybe someone puts it online somewhere as a kind of pre-release build, it would stop them from downloading it and deploying it to their device and just being able to run it. There's only when you're creating games with kind of Unity or very specific devices can run those games. So I mean, this is a kind of a general overview of what you need to do to I assume people are aware of how Apple kind of deals with things. You have to buy a developer license and then you get access to the provisioning portals. Basically, they have their online system. You kind of sign up to be a developer. You get onto their portal, and that's where you do all this sort of stuff on the website. So it's a case of going into your machine and creating a certificate and then uploading it to their website, and they'll create something else for you and put it on your machine. That's kind of what we're doing. So yeah, anything which is provisioning portal based is based on the developer website, and then everything else is on your local machine. Once you've created everything, then it's put back onto your machine, and then from that point, hopefully go on. So yeah, profiles, art certificates. So there's certificate requests. Basically, it's kind of your keychain, and your keychain is just kind of where everything personal about your machine and your machine's usage is stored. So when it comes to creating a profile on the developer side of things, it just uses keychain basically. And when it comes to actually building, it looks at the profile and it says if the two things match, then build it. It's not even straightforward. I'm trying to see how straightforward it is. But basically, there's two sides of things. And this is a common thing you get with Xcode. When it says you can't find the valid private key or certificate, it basically means that it has a profile. It has this provisioning profile to run that, but it can't find the right key on your machine. It says, well, it didn't come from your machine, so you can't do anything with it. So the first thing we go through is keychain. People familiar with kind of keychain on a Mac? It's the other point, this is a Mac to do this. So keychain is basically where kind of all your stuff is stored, all the passwords and stuff. We'll go into that too. So yeah, through keychain you go through and you request a certificate like this, and that's just a thing which says, hey, this is my machine. This is kind of right details about my machine, and it has your kind of Apple ID built into it. You go through this whole process. So once you've done this, it creates a file on your desktop, and from this point, you go from your desktop to the provisioning portal, and you select across the certificate. So in here you can see the certificates on the left-hand side, and then development, you request a new certificate, and you upload that request which you create on your machine. I'm going to be putting these slides on so you can kind of get hold of these as well. I'm not expecting everyone just to remember this and go, brilliant, I know what to do, but I'm to talk about, I guess. So yeah, you create a certificate, and it's done there, and then you use that certificate to make provision. Those of you who haven't used these, just go. So you know. So you can see this is what it's using for my keychain. And then if you were to look in your keychain, you sometimes get this issue of not having any kind of expand options. And that's basically where you have the certificate on your machine, which doesn't really belong on your machine anymore. So if you deleted stuff, you deleted certificates to try and do new provisioning profiles, and you've used an old certificate to make a profile, and it's not going to match up. Basically, my advice is if you ever get this, you can't match things up. Somewhere in your process it's gone wrong, you've deleted stuff. And if you know the kind of three kind of main steps to do, you just delete everything and kind of start again.
You found any way to not start again each time you get that?
No, it depends on where it went wrong in the process, I guess. Like if you can determine like whether this certificate is wrong, because if you haven't got the certificate on your machine, and then you can create a new certificate and upload that, then you have to go into your provisioning profile and then change the certificate that's associated with that profile. Well, that's the main thing I'm trying to get across is that the profile is separate and that's created afterwards, and it's a certificate.
Well, the problem I get is like I'll work for 3 different people in the course of a week that have 3 different iOS developer accounts,
Okay.
and my own sometimes. So it seems like every time I download the profiles I need, I get that error. So every time I have to publish something for someone, I'll do this like 3 times a day. I have to like completely wipe it all clean and go through this process over and over again. So if you had something quick, I'll just drag this here. Like I would love it.
Yeah, actually, you can export what's called a developer profile. If you go into the organizer in Xcode via, I think it's like Command-Shift-2, on the left-hand side you'll see a subsection Teams. And in there should be like a list of all the provisioning profiles associated with the individual teams. There's a button at the bottom, Export. And if you click that, it'll create a developer profile, which ships with the private keys, the distribution profiles, all the certs you need. And so you can move those around. And that's okay. That's everything you need just in one pack. So like the next time you go through the process, export it as a developer profile, you'll be able to ship those portably.
Thank you.
Just did that today, actually.
The team side of things is kind of things get more complicated.
Yeah, it gets a little dodgy. I'm on 2 teams myself, so that's it. Like that's the reason I'm so intimately familiar with the process.
I suppose the other thing which I should really highlight with this is that this is kind of working towards the next section, which is kind of the distribution side of stuff. So it's going to do this process, and you can repeat it to do ad hoc stuff, is where you can then send it off. So it's kind of like a more personal thing. If you're working on your own Xcode, kind of manage it for you, but the issue is that when it's being managed by Xcode and something goes wrong somewhere, then you don't really know the process. It's good to just understand what to do in these situations. But in terms of your issue, my advice was just don't work with it. Don't take that. We're requesting this. So do a certificate request and you can provision portal that uses the benefit certificate on the provision of your developer portal. From that certificate, you can create a profile. And this is where things like device IDs and stuff are stored for specific apps that you create. So creating a new profile is simple enough. You go through and then if you see the certificates thing, they should match up with the certificate that we've just created on the provision profile. So the point that you're at, you've got issues with certificates, you need to make sure that these match up. So there you go, once we've created a provisioning profile, you can download it, open it up on your machine, and then it'll appear in Xcode. Just check. So, we've been over this many times, so it's kind of understandable and so on. You make a certificate request, create the certificate on the website, and you create the profile, and download the profile. From there, hopefully, you can't be. So, yeah, when it comes to, I'll put these online, we're in the process of actually documenting people who are trying to create stuff in iOS Unity kind of won't have too many issues. We found specifically in the last kind of month or so, I don't know if you were aware that you could download, not now, but we were giving away iOS free and Android free until the 8th. Did anyone download it free? Have you got a chance to do stuff?
I actually have a question about it because I was using the free trial Pro, and everything was working fine. I had the game running on my device, and then my trial ran out. I switched it, I downgraded to the free iOS community, and now I'm getting an error and it won't run on my device.
Okay.
We can talk about that later. I'll ask you if you have any idea of it.
It's
Bad experience.
Yeah, so we're trying to make this process smooth as possible, and then it'll be smooth, just so people understand the steps.
I've only gotten a profile for myself on one device, so I never understood, like, the certificates. Is it, like, each developer account just gets one certificate, and that counts for all devices they might test it on, or is it, like, per device, like, each device you need a certificate?
So yeah, that's the one. So when it comes to the provision side of things, you can see there's the development tab, and then there's the distribution tab here as well. Can you see it? So that's also in the certificate side of things and distribution as well. So you have your own developer certificate, which is used to do stuff with developers, and then you can create, repeating this whole process in your distribution. And inside of that, you can assign devices. Apps created. So it's kind of our profile for an app with the FID, no specific devices which you can use. So you don't need kind of a profile for each device that you put it on. For each app that you created, you have a list of devices that it's about. There's a limit to how many you can use. Xcode profiling, let's have a quick look at this. So when you're creating stuff for iOS and you've got it running on your device, there's a few things that you can do in terms of testing how your game is currently running on it, or how the device itself is still dealing with your game. So one of them, as a general kind of good overview, is something like Activity Monitor, to show kind of memory usage, CPU usage of your device when your game is running. And the also cool thing about this is that you can see how it's performing when other games are running on it as well. So what I tend to do is load up our game and build it, load up the Activity Monitor, shut down our game, and then run something like Grand Theft Auto 3. And then it was just when Grand Theft Auto 3 first came out on the iPad, and I was running our game on it, and I was like, oh, this isn't too bad. I didn't have a general good idea of what good memory usage was on the device. To load up GTA 3, and it was using like a quarter of the memory that we were using, and I was like, this is embarrassing. But it's a good way to kind of understand where you should be looking for like similar games and stuff like that, and see whether your game is actually running. So this one is a screenshot of Activity Monitor. You can see that anything blue in this is my game that was running, and that's the highest of anything. It's really high in this instance. And at the top there, I don't know if you can see it, just under the timer, there's all those little flags. Those are low memory warnings. I put those in just to show you what they look like when you do have low memory warnings. We will find it. So you can kind of see certain spikes and stuff. This is a good way of just seeing how your game is running on the device and stuff. And to do this, you can just kind of go to Product Profile and then bring this window as your game starts and it'll show you what to do, which is pretty neat. And the other side of things is an internal profile. To see kind of, the way I like to see it is one of these kind of features, the first feature kind of looks at how your game is kind of running on the device. The other one is to look at how your device is coping. So whether it's kind of having issues, kind of waiting for the GPU wait times. To do this, it's hidden inside of iPhone Profiler.h, and then you can enable internal profiler. Basically, then outputs all this like every frame to show you kind of frame rates and stuff on the devices. So you can run it on separate devices and see how it's coping on each of those devices. That's I always found that really handy. So if you're targeting multiple devices, it's a good way to see it's running fine on an iPad 3. There's nothing else going on with it. You can see it's kind of slowed down the physics and such stuff in some devices. And that's a really good thing to do. So yeah, the other side of things is distribution. And the thing I recommend to everyone is just use TestFlight. Is everyone good at TestFlight? Anyone who's trying to ship anything, submission that is trying to get to people. So TestFlight is free. It offers over-the-air distribution, gives you distribution lists, and it gives you basic colors. Activity will happy. People are running your game. So the main thing is it's free and it's kind of browser-based. You can go on to TestFlight.com. You can sign up for an account.
TestFlightApp.com.
And then you can sign up for an account, basically, and then you can choose to send your game to pretty much general overview. And the great thing about it is that you don't have to have the devices with you or anything. You can just send it to them. They can load it on the device and they can install it directly on the device. They don't have to do anything. The only thing that people have to do who want your game to be sent to is open an email. That email then just grabs the UDID of the device that they're email, puts it onto your TestFlight account, and then export that to your original profile, build the app, and it uses everything. So it's very little work on either side. That's really good to have. And it just installs like a normal app. I don't know how they do it. Someone asked me how they did it. I don't know if it would be magic or something. Most people don't understand how it's still working because it's just a link to a website, and in the website it's just a list of games that you have available to download through the web distributions. You click on the link, and it installs the game to your iOS device. Just like anyone. Do you know how it works?
I don't know how it works, but I have a related question. I was wondering, did you come across anything to do with when you hit that 100 user limit? You know how like it's 100 phones on your Nova account, and then so like if you're sending to publishers for your game, eventually you'll run out. You know, like what do you do at that point?
You just got to prioritize and manage it. Create space for those people you deal with.
I think it's just 100 a year.
Yeah,
So
that's
if
the
you add, removing doesn't help you.
Removing doesn't help you,
No,
right?
not until the year's over.
Right.
Hearing that more.
Yeah.
We took the nuclear option. We actually signed up for another account, set up temporary app ID.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to spend the extra.
Yeah, it was a bummer, but we needed the profile space and we needed it now.
Yeah.
It works.
I mean, maybe like $100 isn't too much to do.
It was more the principle. It's more overhead on the builds too, because now suddenly you've got a separate app ID. Like,
Yeah.
really?
So yeah, the most difficult part of doing test file is creating an IPA, and an IPA is basically just a compressed kind of version of your game, and this is what you need to do to actually upload it. So there's the general kind of like workflow to doing it. Product archive is the X code. We'll just kind of gloss over this. And it'll make an IPA, little game for an archive it. If you click share again, you can then go through, you can check the identity, and this is the iPhone distribution one. So this is the difference that's coming to the developer side of things, and having a separate developers and a separate distribution list, distribution profiles. This is where you kind of select, so you can choose a distribution list. It's all the same, the process that we did with the certificates, but on a separate tab. So to create the IPA, which can be stored on your machine, and then you just drop it onto the browser, drag and drop it onto the browser inside the test file app. And I'll upload it for you, and you can put in those as release notes, which is easy to bugs, which we fixed. I don't know if you can read those. There is. The top one was just fixed issue with, which is the Christina Hendricks who found in the UK. We actually had that in there. Someone spent a Friday afternoon just randomizing that code. So yeah, you can put in release notes, and you can release builds and build versioning and stuff like that.
That's the really hard part. The address book.
Oh yeah, that was because I think that day, I can't remember what app it was. It was an app. It was quite a high profile one. It was taking your address data and uploading it. That was the last one. We didn't actually do that.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if you actually had the same problem.
No. I mean, the bottom one is fix the bug, and then the game will either play or make you cry. It's a bad game, wasn't it? So yeah, and then when it comes to actually building it, this is what I was saying about distribution. This is to choose that who has your game. So if you have a kind of client list for demo stuff, and then you have a general QA list for things which is for processing. Company I was like would have kind of client lists and send things like special occasions. So we made games like Christmas cards basically, but as games, and we could send it those out to clients and they had to use them. Or we did send an email and they opened it and had all the information we actually needed. And then it just lets you know whether they've installed it, what device they've installed it on. We're building out kind of analytics into it to see if it's crashing and stuff, if there is crashing in it, then when we're using it, so using it. That's about it on that side of things. In terms of this presentation as well. So I mean, like, has anyone got any general questions about things?